X, Facebook, and YouTube Live. I am here in the studio in Manchester at the Public Access Studio. So as it is on Wednesdays, I will be talking that way. Thank you all for joining me. I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks. Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Independents. It's so great to be with you. Today is Wednesday, January 14th, when we're recording here in Manchester. But of course, you may be watching this on YouTube, on X Live, on Facebook, or in an old-fashioned way, still on the telly here in Manchester, New Hampshire. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a nice, beautiful day out, and I hope everyone will take an opportunity to go take a break and spend, even if it's 5 minutes, out there in nature, just to really replenish your body, mind, and soul. All right, what are we going to get up to today? Today we are going to be talking about the new food permit that was introduced last week. A little bit of news on Rand Paul, who apparently is working together with RFK to prosecute Fauci. And you know I'm going to be here for that. A little bit of rest in peace for Scott Adams, and maybe a little bit of the story, my backstory with Dilbert creator Scott Adams, and then what's coming up at the State House. There are several bills that I am watching that you should be aware of. Primarily today, actually at 10 a.m., the campus carry bill had its hearings. So hopefully by next week, I will be able to tell you some good news about that. There's also a bill that creates a new spy agency that I think we got to keep our eyes on a little bit. And then I will tell you a few of the upcoming events that will be happening over the next month or so. The most important thing you could do for me today is go to fsp.org/pork day and go get your Porcupine Day 10. Yes. 10 years after we triggered the move and triggered all the statists here in New Hampshire, we will be celebrating at the Murphy's Tap Room in Bedford, and tickets are on sale now. General admission, $50, VIP support. It is a fundraiser, $100, and you can get all those details at the Free State Project's website. So let's start with Scott Adams. Now, many of you may have seen Scott Adams did pass away yesterday. He was the creator of Dilbert, a cartoon, honestly, that I watched and read and followed from my days in South Africa. So I was a fan for a long time. And of course, at some stage, you know, his cartoon became, I guess, politically incorrect, and he got canceled. His syndication and distribution through the newspapers. He then sort of pivoted. He wrote several books. He wrote a book called When Bigly that was about the art of persuasion, which is something, you know, we should all be studying. And side note, side quest, there's a great podcast with the Diary of the CEO with a professor from Harvard, where she discusses how to have good conversations. It's about 3 hours long, but it really is worth the watch. So if you are struggling with your personal communications with other people, or finding actually that your positions are very boxed in, then maybe that one is one for you. But here's my Scott Adams story. So way back during COVID mania, Scott actually came out after his second vaccine and was very open that he had been what he believed was vaccine harmed. And it was in a 7:20 in the morning sort of email exchange. I was one of his followers on Twitter, on X, and he made some position to which I responded, dude, period. It was clear to those of us following the data, but I'm glad, you know, you've come along, or you get it now. Help us get Nuremberg 2 trending. I'm speaking, heads must roll. I'm speaking metaphorically mostly. That was the tweet, to which he responded with some very choice words, which I won't go into here, but if you're really curious, they violated every single one of the George Carlin words. The C word was in there, some British lady parts. I mean, the works, honestly, which shocked me to my core. And it was a ego response from him, because he felt like, how dare I say some of us actually did understand the landscape and did know what was going on and had been warning people, and censored by your government and by social media, to not have the correct discussions during that time. What was the correct discussion? Was, what is informed consent, right? You can't mandate things that are supposed to be voluntary. That is a violation of bodily autonomy. And sort of in that, you know, maybe 10, 12 tweet fight that we had, I took the position that, one, yes, some of that data was not available, but the fact that it wasn't available and that they couldn't substantiate their safety claims is a tell that you should not believe these people. And it turns out you should not have believed them. So Scott sadly got what, you know, is let's say a aggressive form of cancer, and passed away yesterday. He had put out a call for people to reach out to his biographer, and I actually saw that tweet and was so excited, because I was like, oh, did Scott Adams unblock me? What? And no, he did not unblock me, but it was strange that it was in my feed and I could see it, which to me felt like a message from the universe. And so I reached out to his biographer, who turns out is a South African, and did not hear back, but I did proffer the idea of a redemption arc, which now, of course, is moot, because the man has passed away. What was interesting is he did reform. He claimed to take Christ into his heart at the end. The video part I saw did not seem very sincere. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. But I did see a tweet go out from Elon Musk that had a 2-page summary, which was sort of Scott's bye-bye, I guess. And it struck me, although I don't have it here to pull it up, that, you know, he was kind of like, hey, this is what I did with my life. And it was like, I wrote some books and I fought with people on the internet. And I thought, wow, I hope one day one's legacy is more than just how you, what your profession was, but also how you showed up in life. And so, you know, I'm going to stick to my guns and be like, the dude who did a whole show on whether dude is sexist, and the entire internet was like, dude is not sexist. And certainly I didn't mean it in a sexist way, but certainly did not warrant the responses it got. Why do I keep bringing this up? My friends keep asking me that. Well, one, because I think it is a worthy story to tell, but two, I think it's important because the fact that someone who is famous and known worldwide thought it was okay to escalate a conversation on the internet, which started with a request for help from the health freedom movement, to use all those choice words is a reflection of where we are as a society. And again, I'm kind of upset that we didn't get to rectify that circle, but now I got to let it go. So moving on. Hopefully, Scott's legacy and the people like him who have been vaccine harmed will be able to see some redemption sometime. And where the hope for that is going to come from is Rand Paul was on Joe Rogan last night or the night before. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I did see some clips, and it sounds like Rand Paul is working together with RFK, who turns out has been actually like a great choice here at HHS, and who is really actually implementing changes that will fundamentally change things. You know, not going to war with Venezuela, not invading Greenland, not doing the empire's expansion, not kind of, you know, veering off from campaign promises, but actually sticking to them and implementing changes. So it looks like those two are going to go after Fauci. That should be very interesting because, of course, Biden, as one of his last things in the White House with these auto pens, so none of us know whether he was compos mentis enough to actually sign them. My position would be not. I think it's very clear that Biden is actually a visible example of the vaccine harm and how with cumulative doses, things get worse and the cognitive decline is faster and more pronounced. And so hopefully RFK, Rand, and, you know, I'd love to see Massey jump into this mix and anyone else we can get up there. I'm hopeful they will truly go after Fauci, who should probably spend his final years behind bars for crimes against humanity. All right. Other good things RFK's been up to is literally flipping the food pyramid. So if you take your pointers from the government and you shouldn't, but if you do, the good news is they finally fixed the food pyramid. So as of January 7th, 2026, the dietary guidelines have changed. What has happened? The base, where it used to be grains and pasta, and I mean, anyone who is honest with themselves has got to know you can't eat 8 bowls of pasta a day and expect to be healthy, right? So the base, the largest portion of the pyramid, is now proteins and vegetables. High quality proteins like meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, and beans now form the foundation, paired with a wide variety of vegetables. This layer supports building meals around satiating, nutrient-rich food. And if you don't believe me or you don't hear anything I have to say, and you only want to take one takeaway from all of this, it's the following. Just eat whole foods. Like if you just avoid the whole middle of the aisles, if you don't eat those Doritos, if you leave the sodas alone, if you actually just cook real food, and if you don't know how to do that, learn how to make bacon and eggs and butter, and then move on from there. We can all learn it. Cooking is actually a skill. It's a dynamic skill. It can be really fun. There's something creative about it. It's a creative, destructive process because you both create it and then you destroy it by eating it. And so really, no excuses, guys, no excuses. So base, proteins, and vegetables. The middle layer is now healthy fats, fruits, and dairy. So these are natural fats from sources like olive oil, avocado, butter, nuts, and full fat dairy. Do not eat low fat or no fat stuff. It is bad for you. Just avoid it entirely. The full fat dairy includes whole milk, cheese, and yogurt. Fruits are encouraged in whole forms for their sugars. So you know what? Like a fig Newton, not fruit, guys. So really eat the whole fruits. Then the top of the pyramid, so we've got proteins and veggies, we got fruit and good fats and healthy fruits. And then we have at the top now, we have the smallest portion is reserved for your whole grains. So this is limited to unrefined or traditionally prepared grains. So this is more oats, rice, quinoa, real sourdough, but again, none of the processed nonsense that will metabolically make your life harder. And if you need proof positive, I am proof positive. I have lost and kept off 50 pounds for more than 6 years now, switching to this model. And so you got to do this. You got to change your mindset. You got to get out in nature. You got to watch your sleep. I would throw in some fasting for just a regular thing. I have worked up to, I've done a 7-day fast. I don't recommend that as a sort of every month thing, but I am doing Sunday nights, 8 p.m. to Tuesdays, lunchtime. That's about a 40-hour fast. That gives you just enough time to get into autophagy. What is autophagy? This is the non-sciencey way to explain it. The more sugar you eat, the more your cells ferment. The more your cells ferment, the more likely you are to create cancer cells. So if you don't want that cycle to go on, 1, don't eat the sugar. 2, fast from time to time. And then what happens in autophagy is it's like it eats all the bad cells and it eats all the free radicals. Now, again, that's not, that's Carla science, but that is the way I understand it. And it has made a difference in my life. And I hope it can make a difference in yours. Now, this whole new food pyramid is a really, really huge improvement. It's actually based on science. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a jump here for just a second, because you may not know this, but you may be curious as to why did they get it so wrong? And here is the truth. It is regulatory capture, and regulatory capture has taken place in every single industry in this country. And the government, the federal government, is not there to serve you and I. They are there to serve the interests of the corporations and of the industries that lobby them. So the backstory on the food pyramid goes way back to Ansel Keys, and he just made some stuff up, and then some people ran with that stuff. And then you have all the associations getting involved, and you got to ask yourself, because this is a common sense question you can answer for yourself. If we have all these organizations working on heart health and on cancer and all these things, how after 100 years have we not solved one of those problems? And yet these organizations grow bigger and bigger, and overall health in this country has declined remarkably. 60% of Americans now have at least one chronic disease, and that is metabolic, that is getting bad advice from your government, and it is the regulatory capture of the pharmaceutical industry, who made bank out of this whole COVID mania we just went through, and all the other interests, including, by the way, the soda industry and the fast food industry and the processed foods industry. And so you have to reclaim your health for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And reclaiming your health is the most revolutionary act you can take. So start there. All right. Let's look at what's coming up this week in the state of New Hampshire, in our great free state. So first of all, I already told you about Porcupine Day that's coming up. If you are a parent and you have kids either in a public school, maybe a private school, maybe you're exploring charter schools, maybe you're curious about what homeschooling might look like, there is an incredible organization that has been spun up just to answer your questions about what is going on in the education landscape in New Hampshire. The organization is called EdOpt, for Education Options, and they will be having 3 fairs coming up. The first one is on Monday, January 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Claremont Community Center on South Street in Claremont. On Wednesday, January 28th, up in the North Country in Dummer, New Hampshire, from 6 to 8 p.m. That will be at 75 Hill Road in Dummer on Wednesday, January 28th. And then on Thursday, January 29th, at the Royal Order of Moose Lodge, and that is in Dover, New Hampshire. If you want more information or you have questions, you can reach out to EDOPT, that is EDOPT.org, I believe, but it might be .com. But EdOpt should get you there if you search for that. So those are 3 education option fairs coming up to help you better understand what's up with education choices in the Free State. Now, let me tell you about all the great work NHLiberty.org. That is where you can go. It's, of course, the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. That is a volunteer-based organization that literally goes through all the bills. It is following all the hearings. You can go straight to their website, click on hearings, and get a sense of what hearings are coming up. Now, first of all, we're writing too many bills, guys. So there are 1,400 bills in front of the State House this session. Every bill gets a hearing. So it is a lot. They hit the ground running. This is literally the pile of documents just for this week's hearings. So as I mentioned, the campus carry bill did have its hearing this morning. It started at 10 a.m. What is that bill? There's a great little article in the Dartmouth paper, and I'll just read from the start here. It says, New Hampshire's House of Republicans introduced HB 1739, the Protecting College Students Act, for a second time on January 7th. This legislation would prohibit restrictions on firearm possession on the campuses of public New Hampshire universities. So if you take public funds, if you take taxpayer money, you gotta comply with the Constitution. It's not rocket science. On the face of it, we all understand that's the way it should work, because the alternative is the following, and this is the argument. If you don't like this bill, this is the argument you're making in your head, is you're saying, you know what? Yeah, the Constitution of the United States of America applies, but it doesn't apply in schools that are 100% controlled by the government. Now, you can likely see how that is a very illogical position to take. So this campus carry bill, I imagine, is going to get quite a bit of backlash, but I do think it is constitutionally sound under the U.S. Constitution, but more importantly, constitutionally sound under Article 2 of the New Hampshire Constitution. And while I think of it, you know, the New Hampshire Constitution, the original one, was ratified in 1776 before the Declaration of Independence, which is also why New Hampshire will have the right and does have the right to secede. And while I think of it, one of the independence bills that will be coming up is to introduce a study committee to really start to grapple with the questions we would have to answer if New Hampshire became its own little country, which, you know, you think it sounds crazy now, but I'm telling you, our national debt is so great that I don't think we're going to be able to inflate our way out of it. And so what might seem like a bit of a crazy idea today might just be very prescient in the future. All right. On top of those bills, there is another bill. The hearing is tomorrow that I just want to highlight for you guys because I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but it's House Bill 1605. So House Bill 1605 is titled Establishing a State Office for Intelligence and Counterintelligence Within the Executive Branch. So, spy agency for the governor? I mean, my gut feeling is I really don't like the sound of this, but actually one of the state reps that I've worked with on independence matters in the past actually is a sponsor of this bill, and his argument is, well, if we are our own country, we probably will need our own spy agency. And now, candidly, I'm super torn. I have not decided if I'm going to go testify on this, but the hearing is scheduled for January 15th. So that's tomorrow at the Executive Department and Administration Committee. And basically, it would create a office that consists of 3 to 5 analysts and 2 to 5 investigators, all required to have military or equivalent training in intelligence and counterintelligence. And they would prioritize identifying, investigating, and analyzing and countering threats from foreign intelligence agencies and hostile nations. Now, I don't know, guys. I mean, I think we probably have too many spies and maybe a little too much paranoia in the world. And maybe, there are better ways that we could be spending our state funds. So I do think this one is worth keeping an eye on. So my gut feeling is not great. But on the other hand, there's another side of me that's like, well, if we are going to be a country, maybe we do need a spy agency. And if so, if this passes, I would certainly like to see some friendlies in these offices. So at a minimum, let's keep an eye on it. And if it goes somewhere, let's get ahead of it. All right, what else can I tell you guys? If you're not getting the newsletter, sign up for the FSP newsletter, fsp.org, and go and get that. It is a busy, busy, busy time of year. Again, it all starts with you and how you are showing up in life. It starts with your health. It starts with alignment between your words, thoughts, and deeds, between your mind, body, and soul. And I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, and subscribe to my channel. I am now doing 3 shows a week, one on Mondays that kind of tells you what's coming up during this week in the Free State. That one is live from the Quill, which is a clubhouse in West Manchester. On Wednesdays, it's this show. And thank you for joining me for that. And then on Fridays, late night, after hours, kind of like, hey, what did happen this week in the Free State? Or can I find some interesting guests to come tell their stories about their lives here in the Free State? So that's all I got for today. Thank you all for joining me. I wish you peace, love, and understanding, and I'll see you back here again next week. Awesome. Thanks. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me here. I will see everyone back here on Friday. Bye.